Hello, hello everybody. Welcome, welcome. Tom with Kaijutopia here. Finally back in the stop motion driver seat. Let's just get into it. I mean, if a lot of people start showing up and you guys, have some questions, feel free. I mean, it's kind of like a chill stream. Obviously, please let me know what you're doing, how things are. Otherwise, we're gonna just get straight to it. Jean, I don't know if you're still here, buddy. Good to see you. You have new information on what you're making. Please feel free to share. In the meantime, let me bring you guys up to speed here. So I'm currently working on a very, very, very short Godzilla versus Thor stop motion. And in this sort of video, we're gonna see GMK Godzilla in Asgard, or as a wise man once said, Asgard. And yeah, Godzilla is running amok. Kind of thought this would be a great way to get back into the thing. It's been I don't know, almost a year since my last stop motion project. I have been focused more on, my comic book breakdown videos, which are stupendous. I love it. I love doing them. I'm also working on another project that I'll, sometime later today start talking about a little bit more. But yeah, so all you need to know is Godzilla here. He's wreaking havoc. And we might see Thor. I might bring him in later if I succeed in finishing what I am setting out to do. And what is it that I'm setting out to do? Well, let's take a look here. Alright, so at first it seems like nothing's happening, but then everything happens. Godzilla rises up and he looks awesome. And what I want to do right now is just make sure I got all my bases covered. I can check to make sure there's no spill, there's nothing here that's this is what it looks like. Here's the green screen, and here's my Primac Keyer 6 that removes the green screen. And right now, I'm just going to try and make sure that our boy doesn't have any defects. He seems to be okay. So right above me, if you see me, hi. Right above me here is one of the many variant covers for Jason Aaron's Godzilla vs. Thor run. It came out last year. It was awesome. I absolutely love this comic. I've done a breakdown. I was in full Thor cosplay character for it. It was a hoot. But yeah, this shot right here is kind of what I'm going for. I have everything in high aspect ratio, so later on during post-production, I can get the close-ups I'm looking for with Godzilla and Thor respectively. But yeah, right there is the inspiration, right above me. Oh, Sean, good to see you, man. How you been? Yeah, I'm trying to think if for this project, if I'm gonna go all in, because right now stop motion's pretty much finished. There's a couple more angles, different shots here that I'm going for. However, there's this other summer stop motion project that I really want to get into. So this one is going to be short and sweet, but maybe I will expand on it later. I've thought about maybe doing a couple more shots just to add a bit more, exposition. So the whole plot that I'm going for here is Godzilla is He's attacked Asgard. He's destroyed it, essentially. Thor had been on Earth, you know, being an Avenger. And, of course, finds out, oh, the Realm Eternal, my home, it's being destroyed by a giant atomic rage monster. Might as well, you know, I have to get back. And so he does, and, you know, they have a kerfuffle. So let's see. My goal, I'm going to enter my Godzilla comp here. And there's the big G right there. And what I'm going to want to do, because my first goal is to solve the glowing dorsal fin problem. And what I usually do for that oh yeah, so he starts moving right about there. Okay. Okay, we're gonna want a new solid here. This is kind of more old-fashioned of how I used to do effects. Back in the day, this is how I did it, but as of late, I usually just start creating a copy of these guys, and then of the fin effect that we just saw, and then I add the atomic glow to it. But I'm going to try and experiment a little bit, go back to the basics, you know, try to have a little fun here and there. And for these first shots, I'm going to have multiple masks to make sure that I can control them all individually, just in case, like, oh yeah, that other one is kind of it kind of needs a little bit of tweaking, or it's being warped, but you know, I might have to adjust it, but it doesn't adjust all the other ones, you know, so I don't have to fix the you know, the whole operation. Okay, so Sean is saying, I am making a new Gmod story map called BRCS. It takes place in an abandoned research facility. Biollante will have a huge role in the plot, and there will be many kaiju enemies. Stop. You've had me at Biollante. But yeah, that sounds really cool, man. Can't go wrong with Biollante. She always tends to spice up everything, you know? She just has that mystique, that aura. Wait a minute. I don't think I want to parent. Maybe I want to parent this one. Alright, so if I did this right, it should come down in conjecture with the file there. And now from here, we're just going to have to adjust things, move the masks a bit. But let's do this first. Let's feather this. Feather, 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 man. It's all about the feathering. The feathering effect. Let's see, where is my thing? There, I think that's it. Nope. Okay, what am I looking for here again? The glow, optical glow, is usually what I'm looking for. Okay, we're gonna have to change that. Extend it. Okay. right, so we can colorize. I think we're going to want to go with a different dark blue for this. Am I breaking up? Am I still breaking up? Can you guys hear me okay? Or maybe I'm just mumbling and nobody can hear me and it sounds so weird because I kind of forgot I was streaming for a second. Oh man, we're already like, what? How long are we in? I don't know. And I'm already kind of forgetting that you're all here. Cool. Sean is absolutely right. Godzilla vs. Thor was the best Godzilla vs. Marvel comic. I mean, I loved it so much, guys. By the way, I was able to meet Jason Aaron at the Emerald City Comic Con a couple months back. And he's a really great guy. Very nice, professional, down to earth. I talked to him especially about this comic. I mean, I even, I'll move my head slightly. Okay, you see right here where I'm pointing? There's this cover. Well, not this exact one that's above my head, but there's the Godzilla vs. Thor comic that he was very generous enough to autograph. And yeah, I gotta say, Jason Aaron is just one of my all-time favorite writers. He's written, of course, he revolutionized Thor for me. I mean, Gore the God Butcher, that entire arc is just so incredible. So it was really nice meeting him, talking to him for a bit. He definitely is. I'm not. He didn't confirm anything for me. That would have been cool. But he's definitely. He's shown interest in wanting to do more Godzilla comics. Could be Godzilla Thor related. And I think Superman, we could use more. We could use more Jason Aaron Godzilla comics. But he really did enjoy working on this. And I think it shows because, you know, he had a blast. Turned out great. Okay, so what else? Okay, Mahmood, good to see you. Did you watch the new Mario movie? I think that's the Mario Galaxy movie. I have not seen it yet. I do intend on watching it, you know, catching up on movies that I've missed out for quite a while now. Normally, I have to, like, choose... you know, whatever movies I want to see in the theater wisely, just because of how expensive everything is. So I try to, you know, balance my budget, but that does look pretty good. Doesn't need much adjusting there. Could be a little. Yeah, so I've been thinking about maybe like getting some extra footage, doing some extra stop motion of Odin, you know, getting his reaction or something to that nature. You know, I have like a whole, almost, I don't want to say it's a feature-length movie in my head for this concept, but you know, I'm such a big fan of Godzilla and Thor that I've always thought about like doing a Godzilla Thor stop motion. I mean, I even made a little tiny spoof, kind of a proof of concept a couple years ago. Still on the channel if you guys ever want to see it. It's in this, I think it's in a video called Legends of Power. but yeah, that's the one where I used my Chris Hemsworth MCU Thor Hot Toys figure. I no longer have it. I sold that quite a while ago. Just one of those things where it's like, I really don't need this, and though it would look cool, and it does look cool, I kind of feel like, since I'm more of a collector that specifically wants to use his figures, his action figures for his projects, which I'll get around to someday. I mean, case in point, here we are. I do want to, I don't want these figures just to, I don't use them just specifically to be seen, right? They're not there just for decorative purposes. Even though they look awesome, and I know what that sounds like. I mean, look behind me, right? However, my plan is to use them all eventually for, one project or another. And, I got my whole life ahead of me, right? So my goal is to eventually get to that. I forget this thing. Adobe made some updates that are so strange that now all my hotkeys don't work anymore, or they're outdated. But oh, Adobe. Oh, wait a minute. It's gonna be a problem. I need to. I see the problem there. Okay. I see you. Let's see how that's going to turn out. I can't really accept Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe as 616 canon. It just has too many continuity errors and conditions to be canon. I mean, that's one take, and I get what you mean. I mean, despite how Jerry Dugan, the writer, and other Marvel chiefs, editors have said, yeah, it's totally canon. It's clear that almost immediately when I think that was confirmed, yeah, the story itself is riddled with continuity errors. It's hard to peg when exactly it takes place. But see, the thing for me here is, Sean, is that we would have to determine what is canon if our criteria is that it has no continuity errors or very few continuity errors. Then I think Marvel 616 just immediately becomes retconned by itself. The entire Marvel storyline, I mean, we're talking about something that's decades old, has it's got a long history, plenty of room to make mistakes, hundreds if not thousands of writers. It's a mess, at least when it comes to continuity, right? So I don't really think I don't know. For me, when it comes to measuring canon, non-canon, it's usually it's always a very, how do I put this? it always kind of like it's guaranteed to make everyone's head hurt because there's just so many like there's so much evidence for and against what you would say. Like there are pros and cons to, like, okay, is Godzilla destroys the Marvel universe canon? Well, let's hold on. In a couple years, will we have a character say Godzilla, bring up Godzilla by name in like a non-Godzilla affiliated Marvel event? Probably not. But then again, do they always confirm previous events, crises? Sometimes not. So, like, it just, we gotta, like, in order to really think about like what you want to consider canon and non-canon, you gotta like really make sure you have your criteria in order for that. A similar argument could be made that, well, what about Godzilla? Godzilla is full of like parallel storylines. I mean, just look at each era. And even though it's a fun practice time to time for some fans to try and connect them all or something, but as a Godzilla fan, I don't really like fixate on what's canon unless it's relevant to maybe the topic or maybe a point I'm trying to make. You know what I mean? Like, if I were to ask you, what is the most canon Godzilla story? Like, what is the main Godzilla continuity above others? For the longest time, we would have said something like Godzilla 1954. Gojira, the original, right? Because for the longest time, most Godzilla films were connected to it, so that made sense. But even though that, they all share some continuity with the original film, that doesn't necessarily mean that movie, above all, is the most truest canon. It's just kind of, that's like a little social construct kind of thing in our minds. That's something we're inventing. So I don't know, like, it's just kind of like, to me, it's a little moot. I think when it's relevant as it pertains to, like, our good old-fashioned, lovely who would win in a fight kind of thing, or trying to evaluate power levels and feats, sure, you kind of want to make sure things are canon. That changes the game a bit, because that can validate or invalidate feats. If you're like, for instance, the kind of guy who wants to focus just on power scaling, it's why I think power scaling, while a useful tool, is, you would be foolish to make your entire argument center around it, because of, well, there are many reasons, but mainly to this, because, well, you kind of don't know for sure if this is canon or not, and it could be contradicted at any point. Are we sure we want to do that? Fortunately, these sort of topics, they don't have to center around just like appealing to us power versus boys, right? I mean, it's not for everybody, and there are more important things, of course. Andrew, my friend, it's good to see you. Welcome. How are you? I hope you've been well. Let's see, what's my next one? Gonna change this up a tad. think right about here is when we're going to cut this off. Since Space Godzilla absorbed a supernova, do you think he would have been able to absorb the red spiral ray or die trying from the destructive power? Last I checked, didn't Space Godzilla die because Godzilla blasted him with his red spiral death rays? I mean, maybe you could say, well, you know, he was dying, so he wasn't exactly at full strength. So then, okay, he needs his shoulder crystals, right, in order to absorb energy. But, I guess it depends on, you know, if we buy the premise of Space Godzilla absorbing a supernova. We're informed in the movie that Space Godzilla absorbed cosmic rays, energies from exploding stars, so from supernovas. But, like, that doesn't necessarily mean Space Godzilla is now capable of absorbing a supernova in its totality. I like to use an example where, like, okay, we have a solar panel, right? Solar panels, they absorb sunlight. But we're not going to say a solar panel can, you know, withstand the entire power of the sun, right? It's not like a solar panel is now star level or something monotonous. Okay, I'll try not to, like, rant too much about silly versus Battle Wiki stuff, because that tends to just... then we all forget why we're here. Namely me. I should just retitle this to, like, Old Man Ranting Shouting at Clouds or something. But I think we're about set here in terms of getting oh. Okay, that's the new hotkey for that. That's cool. I think we're about ready in getting this guy ready. Alright, so we could see his spines. Alright, here. Now we're going to go in and colorize this guy's fins a little bit more. I have discovered peak. Why, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm just assuming you're talking about... yeah, I guess no need for me to make this awkward for myself, but I will take your compliment. Right about here is where we can begin our crackling. Then, of course, things begin to, like... Alright, we got our fins glowing as he rises. Our boy is looking beautiful. He's just, oh, amazing. All right, so let me talk about real quick about a project that I've been working on for nearly a year. It's not this one, although taking a year working on a stop motion sounds about right. There's this project I'm currently working on called The 10 Stages of a Kaiju Attack. It's unlike anything I've ever made on this channel. And there's a lot of editing, lots of clips I'm relying on, and I gotta say, it's shaping up to be so good. Not to toot my own horn here, but yeah, and I'm so happy, you know, with how it's turning out. I spent several months on the script. And even still, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I want to add so much more. I want to revise. But then it gets at a certain point with the project, you just need to move forward. And if, you know, we get to like near the end and I'm like, I need to record something new, I need to add something new, then okay, I can see about that. But then the question becomes like, does it add anything of true value? And also, I try to leave enough, you know, more room for you guys, for anyone watching who has something they want to add, something they want to share, an idea that they find interesting. So, after a certain point, you know, I'm always like so picky about like I got to make sure I have everything just the way I want it. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be ready to go, but you know, sometimes if you take so long trying to, you know, perfect something, it never gets made in the first place. So, you know, just food for thought. 10 stages of a kaiju attack. I'm hoping to have it come out next month. Maybe it'll come out sooner if I really hit my stride. But, you know, there are other priorities. Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe, or Marvel Multiverse, or conquers it, whatever it's called. That's coming out next week. So yeah, going to be focusing on that. And then we got the Horror of Godzilla from IDW's Kaisei series. That's one I'm really excited about. And you know, we got other projects that I'm trying to get going on. I got like, there are so many. I mean, the stop motion one that I'm going to do after this because as I mentioned at the start of the stream, I haven't been making stop motion. I haven't been doing this for like nearly a year. So I thought, okay, I have a Godzilla versus Thor idea for a very short stop motion, and it'll help me get back in the groove so that when I do this bigger stop motion project that I'm super excited about doing, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be, how do I say, my power level, it's gonna be up. I'm gonna be ready to go. And the stop motion project in question for that will be a return to form, where I work on a kaiju meditation video. You know, the world can be quite stressful nowadays, especially. So I have an idea for a project that I think many of you will like. And there are so many more projects. I mean, I'm thinking about doing videos where it's kind of like I'm tackling certain concepts, ideas, while at the same time I want to say, let's say I'm doing like I have an idea of doing a Super Godzilla based video where The pitch is that I think we should bring Super Godzilla back. We should make a whole comic series based on it. I have a whole pitch and everything. And, you know, the script is ready to go. But I also want to make stop motion projects, you know, elements to it to spicing it up. So for a video that could take me, I took a good while to work on the script for it. Production wise, I could probably I could record it within the next few hours, and then editing, I mean, I'm looking at maybe a few days, maybe a week worth of time, if, you know, whenever I can find free time. But after that, doing the stop motion stuff, that's going to take so much longer. Like, you're looking at maybe a month or two of just getting everything just right. And that's if I want to, like, make that its own separate video too, because maybe some of you would rather, like, instead of, I mean, those of you here, I'm assuming you're totally fine with my wonderful voice, but maybe some of you wouldn't want to hear me narrating or talking while watching Super Godzilla fight off some real powerful enemies. You know, the whole pitch is that, okay, I want to take some classic Toho characters and some not Toho characters and spicing them up, you know, give them a facelift, you know, a revamp, so that they are a threat to something like Super Godzilla. And yeah, but some of you might prefer to just watch that. So for a project that would have taken me maybe less than a week, is now suddenly something that's like 2 months away. So if I get started now. So definitely going to take longer than 2 months, but worth it because, well, I love what I do, and it's worth the time, you know? It's worth being patient. I wonder if we can convince Tom to do a comic breakdown of the Hulk Smashes Everything comic. You know, I've been reading that. It's a real fun comic. You know, I have done non-Godzilla kaiju content before, so it's not like it would be unheard of. It's just that if I were to show you my schedule for not just comic breakdown videos, but like other projects, like the ones I was just talking about, I honestly don't know when I'd be able to get to it. But I wouldn't rule it out. That's the thing. I would not rule it out one bit. Alright, so next we're going to be working on Godzilla's eyes. There are a number of ways we can do this. One way is to, I could demonstrate. Let's say I wanted to cut out and make a mask. I don't want to, like, what I like to do when I do this is I don't try to cover the entire eye. I try to, you know, get more like right in the center because I'm trying to go for an eerie glow effect. But you don't want it to be, you know, too much glow. Too much. Gotta get it just right. And, you know, I would do like maybe an optical glow here. Try and extend it and see where we're going to go with this. But anyway, back to doing a Hulk comic, covering it, breaking it down. I would love to do something like that someday because I get like there are still like a few Godzilla fans that are butthurt about Godzilla losing to the Hulk in that death battle video, and I guess you can call me a little smug. I mean, to each their own, and I kind of am, if we're being honest. But it is really fun sometimes, just kind of like poking and prodding at the people that are like, you could tell they should really, they're chronically online and they should really go out and touch grass, because we shouldn't have to get so bent out of shape over something like this, I think. And it's a bummer that people do, because Death Battle, even though it's something that I like, and I thought the video was for the most part pretty good, actually. It's just that they made some, I'd say a series of errors here and there, and I've written a blog community post about it where I thought I did a pretty good job at summing up my thoughts. However, it's not like this is like an official source or anything, It's not like it's something that we need to lose our minds over for now until the end of time, because it's not. What did we talk about earlier, chat or Sean? What's canon, right? And that's the beautiful part. It's one of those things where we just saw, or let me back up a little bit. What's more canon? What's more official? The Godzilla Marvel crossovers or a fan channel? Like, I not to like, again, I mean, we can pick on me too. I make fan films. I mean, what am I working on right now? What if in this movie I had Thor just throw his hammer and it immediately vaporized Godzilla, and Thor just went, that was the easiest fight of all time. Like, I think, I don't know, Daredevil could have given me a better fight. Like, I get it if I had 1 million subs or something and tens of millions of people watched it and then everybody laughed or thought like, haha, Godzilla's weak now. I mean, the truth is, it's still fan-made. It's still not official. But if it was official, would it really have been that bad? Yeah. Yeah, kinda. But also, not really. Like, do we really need to, care too much about this sort of thing? The answer is obviously yeah. Yeah, of course we have to care a lot about it. Right? Because, this is a very big issue deal, man. I mean, it's super important. But I think you guys know where I'm going with this little tomahawk, this rant. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, I really love the Hulk. And Godzilla and Hulk have a lot in common. They're so much alike. So to see Godzilla fans just whine and whine and whine about how they're, like, Godzilla, the greatest character ever. Yes, I agree. He's the best character ever. He loses to essentially the superhero Godzilla in a fan film. And I just don't see it as being grounds for something getting, like, super picky about, I don't think it's really, I think we have better things to do. Like make Godzilla fan films. Alright, let's see where this guy right here. I think later, going back to the project, I might have it I might even have this Godzilla open his eyes a bit, or maybe close them. That would have to be its own thing because, whew, that's gonna take a while, but totally worth it if I get it right. All right. Sean says, one of the best things about Godzilla vs. Thor is that it features my second favorite Godzilla design. Absolutely. The GMK Godzilla is just iconic at this point. I mean, it's been long enough that I think we could call it a classic design too. And yeah, I think GMK Godzilla was the perfect opponent for Jason Aaron's Thor. I mean, they're both godlike in their own ways. And funny enough, even though earlier I was talking about how Hulk is essentially like if Godzilla were a superhero, right? But I think GMK Godzilla is like, he's got more in common with like some real terrible villains out there. Like, just it was just perfect for Jason Aaron to give Godzilla Gore the God Butcher's Necro Sword. Even though if it was just a sliver, it's still like Godzilla and Gore have, well, GMK Godzilla and Gore have so much in common. Andrew said, okay, I'm just going to say this. Oh, here we go, man. Oh, okay, go for it. And this is my personal headcanon, and I'm pretty sure everybody can come to the same conclusion when I say Godzilla vs. Thor is a sequel to GMK. I think that's, I think that's explicitly said in the comic, too. I mean, I don't think you're going to get much disagreement here. I mean, the only thing, you might get a picky fan here and there that will be like, actually, Toho themselves haven't actually come out and said that. But then you could be like, but Toho had to, you do know that for any comic with Godzilla in it, Toho has to sign off on it, right? And yeah, it's a cool fact that, yeah, technically, it's really cool to think about. I mean, next time you watch GMK, just think about, hey, in some cool parallel twist, this all takes place in the Marvel Universe. Maybe not like the main continuity. And see what I mean? See how it, like, when we care so much about, like, is something canon or not, it kind of like, it begins to kind of bring down the discussion. It kind of kills the mood a bit. Or maybe it's just me because I keep, jumping back to it. But I think it's a really cool thought, if you do watch GMK, just stop and think, wow, this is in the Marvel Universe. Or Spider-Man and the X-Men exist in this world. Something to that extent. But yeah, I do like how Godzilla vs. Thor does share continuity with GMK. And I kind of feel like this is there's, as I said to the man Jason Aaron himself, I'm like, I would really love to see a follow-up, because even though it was an incredibly well self-contained story that doesn't need a sequel, and of course if Jason Aaron himself was like, I don't really feel like it needs one, or I'm not feeling like I have yet to come up with a cool concept, then obviously, like, yeah, let's not do it then. But I do think, like, I think there's potential here. And it could be because I'm a Godzilla fan and a Thor fan, and I love Jason Aaron's work, and I'm biased or just highly educated on the topic, whichever. I do think when it comes to Godzilla, just about anything Through Godzilla, all things are possible. I know it sounds dumb, but think about it for like a minute. They talked about what the event of GMK in the comic. So yeah. I mean, I think you made this comment before I even started talking about responding to your first comment, Andrew. But yeah, I think you're correct. I don't think it sounds dumb at all. It might sound maybe a little. Well, I don't even think people would think it's silly because again, like, whenever Godzilla fans talk about this is silly, just anything Godzilla related, whenever any fan seriously is like, this is silly, they could even, like, I think Godzilla versus Megalon is silly, but I don't like, that doesn't mean like, but it's silly on purpose, right? But like, so, and I wouldn't say that as a put down, as something super negative, because it's kind of that film's charm. But I think, where I'm going with this, because I guess for this stream, I'm just easily distracted. Maybe this is just the nature of when I'm trying to work on the VFX here and Tomahawk at the same time. But I do think, like, every time some Godzilla fan, just about anything, if you honestly told them, yeah, that Godzilla vs. Thor comic actually shares continuity with the GMK movie, it's like a sequel to it, and their response is, that's silly, or that's dumb, it's like, you do know you're a Godzilla fan, right? Like, you think that's dumb? You think that's silly? Really? Are we... You're kidding, man. You gotta be kidding. Who are you trying to fool? I think the truth is, I guess, just fame, fortune, and Godzilla becoming a big household name. I mean, he already was, but I guess just more famous. Yeah, winning an Oscar and just having a successful Hollywood run. I guess, it's all gone to our heads. We kind of forget just our roots, like what Godzilla was like before he became not just world famous. I guess what I'm trying to say is like more mainstream, popular, Alright, brightness, let's say that's an even 42. That's a 0. Let's test that. Oh yeah, that looks cool. Look at that. Not quite done with it, but so far he's got that look. Oh man, Sean says, I actually have updated my idea of a Godzilla Hulk story from a previous live stream. Dude, let's hear it. Yeah. Let's go. I know some people might be getting like kind of annoyed with the Godzilla Marvel crossover stuff, or just the Godzilla crossover stuff in general, but for me, I love it. And two, if I had to think of any single character right now who I could see Godzilla having crossovers with for all time, it would be the Hulk. I mean, I honestly think Godzilla and Hulk are made for each other. You have on one hand, kind of like what Jerry Dugan did in his initial Godzilla versus Hulk comic from the Godzilla versus Marvel one-shots. They teamed up, and I think that's really cool, and I could totally see that happening again the next time they meet. And then you have them, fight again. Then you have them team up again. And then fight again. And, like, I mean, that might sound boring cliche because, well, it kind of does. Way to defeat my own point, right? But, like, again, it's like, that's because we're not really going into much detail on what the plot would be. We're sparing no expense right now. We're just having a good time. But obviously, like, for the storyline, you can make it more complex. You can add more twists and turns and stuff. But, like, I'm just simplifying things. At the heart of it, when the story would, like, such a story involving Godzilla and Hulk would obviously just be a fight or a team up. Okay, so Banner creates Godzilla while testing the Gamma Bomb, also creating the Hulk. Since Gamma radiation comes from hell, they are both connected to the Green Door. Yes. The one below all manipulates Godzilla and Hulk to fight to see who would be the better avatar for him. You know, Sean, don't be surprised if, like, that literally happens. I mean, at this point, I kind of expect Godzilla to meet the one above all and, I don't know, slap him silly. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's weird. For some reason, are you guys hearing me okay? Because it says my connection is poor. Didn't realize that. Sorry about that if it's been a bummer for some of you. Not sure what the deal is. Still, Sean, I'm loving your pitch. I think you should, like, contact Marvel and tell them you have an idea that is too good to pass up. It also fits, like, within the nature of Marvel's cosmology, of the One Below All itself, like how it operates. I mean, the One Below All, to some of you who might not be aware of this, he's pretty much like if the One Above All, aka God with a capital G of the Marvel multiverse, like, if he hulked out, essentially, like, he became like this. The continuity, the we've learned a little bit more in recent years, but it does sound like the one above all once fought the mother of horrors, the progenitor of all of Marvel's monsters, and the mother of horrors attacked him and wounded, Marvel God himself, and to combat her, he he was not only tainted by her, but he turned into the one below all. He hulked out. Like, can you just stop and think? Like, imagine a supreme being needing to hulking out. Like, it's like if Superman suddenly had to go Super Saiyan Man, or Godzilla going Super Godzilla. Kind of like, are we for real? Really? But yeah, the one below all first appeared in Al Ewing's incredible Immortal Hulk run. That spans many issues. It went on for years. It's incredible. It's extremely well done. Anyone who's a big fan of Hulk, Marvel Comics, if you haven't read the Immortal Hulk yet, I strongly recommend that you do. You know, we're kind of at the point here where Alright, my connection seems to be better showing. I don't know if anyone had a hard time hearing me, or it's slow. Sorry about that. Hope things are good now. Nope, says it's poor again. What can I say? Always drop the quality of the video down resolution wise. It's kind of what I usually do anyway, but like still it's a bummer. Alright, let's see, what else am I trying to do here? Actually do like the placement right there. That makes sense. It's amazing how long it takes just to get a single eye glow here. But I think the rest of that can work out just fine. Alright. Next, we're going to duplicate that left eye, and now we have the right eye. Most of everything is the way we want it to be, except the position. Now we got to change all that. And it starts by us going back to a good place, a good stable position. Okay, it's getting a little bright. I don't need that extra light shining in my face. Oh, man. just give me a second before we try to wrap things up with this, with the right eye. Take a moment, see how these both look side by side. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've almost forgotten how epic it feels like when you've been working on a project for a while and you know, just need to take a little peek, see how it's shaping up to be. Because right now I got my resolution low. I'm, you know, quarter resolution. I don't like, in order to better see where I'm moving this eye glow effect, I turn off the effect itself. Right now I'm just, you know, moving this little position dot in place. Still, it does not hurt to just stop, take a little peek, appreciate what you're working on, and then get back to work. Okay, so the cutoff is right there. Do the same thing. All right. You know, I think after this, after we get Godzilla's eye glows done, I'm just gonna bring Thor into this. I think it would be good just to get a good placement, figure out where he is, and yeah, I think I'll work on Thor a little bit. I mean, it is the Godzilla versus Thor stream today, right? So it would be nice to get the Thunder God here, so we have all of our players on deck. And right now what I'm observing here is that Godzilla's right eye, well, technically his left eye, but for editing purposes I call it the right eye because it's to my right. I noticed the right eye is like a tiny little slit here, and it's definitely smaller given the angle compared to the left eye, so I'm gonna have to keep that in mind when I adjust its brightness. practically off right here. So I think what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to turn this back on. With the brightness, we're going to make it a little more half. And then we're going to wait and see when his eye really begins to... I think right about here is when you can say it. Ooh, man. Oh. Let's see where I'm at. There we go. Oh, this is... Man, it's like getting back into doing the visual effects stuff is kind of like, let's say you haven't worked out, you haven't exercised in a long time, right? And now I'm like, I feel like I need like to do this more often, you know? While talking, of course, about Godzilla. I mean, it says so right there on the mug. Alright. Feel like I'm getting in the groove here. Gotta keep going. Gotta wrap it up, man. Yeah, looking good. All right. There he is, our god of destruction. Now let's see if I can order a god of thunder. Oops. Wrong one. Silly me. There he is. Blur that out. All right, we got Thor in the house. So weird. Yeah, currently I'm just trying to stabilize the stream and figure out, like, why are we suddenly having a hard time with all this? Because YouTube is just telling me we're having, you know, just a hard time maintaining the bit rate. Seems to be buffering for some of you, so I'm just seeing what I can do on my end. That or maybe my internet connection is just really bad. Yeah, I was streaming not too long ago, like a week or so ago, and seemed to be doing fine, so just trying to figure out what the deal is here. Well, I'm just going to have to try and figure that out later. Hopefully those of you who are still here can still hear me, but alas, it does seem to still be, well, quite the struggle. All right, well, I'm just gonna try and keep going for a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna have to head out anyway. But until then, let's see what else I can do with Thor here. Alright, alright. So far, so good. Your cape is looking fine, Thunderer. Doing good. Yeah, sometimes in the past, in order to save time, I wouldn't mess with the cape. I wouldn't, you know, make it its own thing. I would just try to move it in post-production. There are some pretty good techniques on how to do that. But I figured, you know what, I have time. Let's see how this turns out. Took a little bit of practice to get it down. I think this was my second attempt out of 4. And this is the one that I thought turned out best. To anyone wondering, I used the Mezco Toys 112 collectible Thor. I'd been waiting for a Thor Mezco for a while now. They did produce one of Thor from the Thor Ragnarok movie when he was a gladiator Thor. It looked pretty cool, but not quite the one that I was looking for not just to add to my collection, but you know, Thor, a design for Thor that I would work with in these sort of settings. Alright, so we seem to be done with that. Freeze frame that guy. Freeze frame this one. I think what I'll do when the whole point of Thor's cape moving here isn't just that he's hundreds of feet in the air, you know, so, you know, the wind's blowing, his cape is bellowing in the wind, you know, flapping and all that, but like it's also because he's gonna pull out his hammer and spin it to fight Godzilla. And that, of course, makes his cape fly all over the place. So I think what I'll do is first I might, like, do a combination of having my effect work here, where I'm doing the stop motion stuff with the cape, and then later we'll have this... I'll be able to revise what I need to keep the cape moving, but at a steadier pace. Need to bring Godzilla up back here. Oh wait, I can't do it just yet until I know. Do it like right about here. Alright, let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, lots of movement. rename this so I know. Again, this is the end one. Alright, let me take a quick break and just read some of these comments because it's been a long time and okay, there's a lot. What did I miss out on? I think Gigan would be the Cyclops from Greek mythology. Megalon would be a creature from whatever mythology you could think of, and Rodan would be the Phoenix. You know, almost immediately I'm thinking like, okay, is there a version of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey that I'm missing out on? Because I'd love to see Gigan and more Greek mythology. I think we saw like Gigan show up in like one of the Godzilla Rage Across Time comics where, you know, he and Megalon are, you know, joining Kublai Khan's Mongol army, their invasion of Japan. But yeah, more kaiju, more, you know, based in mythology. I mean, it just seems so, it's just such a perfect mix. Sean says, Andrew, have you heard of Half-Life Full Life Consequences? Well, I have been thinking about a version where there's Godzilla -1 and Anguirus instead of Gordon and John Freeman. I mean, it looks like you guys are having quite the chat here. It's good to let your creative sparks fly, right? Okay, let's see. If you want to do doing why every single kaiju would be in this sequel idea of a film is because of what happened in GMK. The souls from World War II was a stepping point to something on my dangerous. They still need GMK, but they're going to give him more power than you think. Maybe this is in regards to something I said that I don't quite understand the context here, Andrew. You'd have to forgive me. So basically put, that's the version of GMK Goji would be on the same level of power as he was in his God Butcher form, and that is his base form alone, by the way. I mean, the more talk of Necro Godzilla, the better, if you ask me. I quite like that design. Also, if you're wondering who would be the final boss for the sequel monster, Monster X, Kaiser Ghidorah as the father of all monsters from Greek mythology. Man, Andrew, you have something cooking here. That's your sequel pitch for GMK. I like how you're combining Godzilla more with mythologies. I wonder if would you be sticking with just Greek mythology or would you be adapting other mythologies as well? In a moment, I should be done with getting the cape bellowing effect the way I want it to. And then I'm gonna make this a comp, combined all of these guys together. We're gonna get Thor, get this green screen out of the way, and then I'm gonna clip out this his base here, his standing pad, and then we can shrink him down, and I'll make him, I'll get him the right size compared to Godzilla, and then we will call it good for now. Alright, let's see. I think we just need to make sure we don't get in the way of that, of all the cape movement. Oops. By the way, Andrew, when you talk about Rodan being the Phoenix, being the Marvel simp that I am, I'm just picturing Rodan bonding with the Phoenix Force and think it's like the coolest thing ever. And it's still shocking that we haven't seen that yet. Hopefully, because, well, I don't know. I want more Godzilla Marvel. I mean, Godzilla is beating up Marvel. Godzilla is just running amok across the multiverse. I want more. Might as well tackle that. Alright, let's see what's up here. Oh, there we go. Alrighty, let's get some of this out of the way. I'm gonna have to go full resolution here in order to see if what I'm doing is working. It's going to be a little tight because with the cape moving later, it's definitely going to struggle. Man, he looks so shiny with that red cape. Okay, what I do need to do before I shrink this guy down, which I'm super excited to do because, well, I mean, that's as much as it would be cool to see Godzilla fighting a giant Thor, I'm gonna have to shrink him down a bit. First, I'm gonna need Thor's arm. which I've done separately here. And then I'm going to need Thor's hammer. So I think I'm going to have to take back what I said about shrinking. Well, I guess I can shrink them all down and you can get an idea of the size. It can give me, yeah, it would be important to do that. But I'm going to have to put them right back to this size so I can see everything that I'm doing. Because the effect work here, and I'm going to walk you guys through it real quick in just a second. But what I'm doing here is I'm cutting out Thor's arm. That sounded so bad. I'm cutting out Thor's arm here separately so that I can better move it, because when I tried doing it all in one take with Thor standing, moving his cape, and also bending his arm back, I use a variety of tools to help with the stabilization, and it just was not working. Like I said, I did multiple takes here, and I just decided, okay, this gives me more flexibility, and I can actually, you know, I think one of my strengths here as an animator is that, you know, even though I think I'm okay with when it comes to doing stop motion, I think I could take stop motion that is admittedly maybe subpar, it's okay, and just make it look even cooler, and because I'm pretty cool with you know, visual effects stuff, and adding that together and making it all come to here. So Thor arm. Of course, his arm, you know, I can have it come out like right about here. And what it's going to do here, it's going to look like this. And then, you know, I'm going to add the hammer. Mjolnir, my precious hammer. Oh wait, I don't want to do that yet. I just want to freeze frame it. There it is. So yeah, I have Thor, the main body, with the cape bellowing, and then I have a separate animation of his arm. It's going to come out, and later, maybe I'll do more streams of this where I'm going to show you techniques on how, on how to, you know, how I can actually animate a still image and make it so that his hammer, his wrist, everything is moving as he's swinging it around, along with the hammer itself. It's gonna look pretty cool, I think, when it's all finished. You know, it's all about that rule of cool. You know what I mean? I love doing this. It's been so long, so it's nice to be able to just come back and walk right in, and I could just feel it, like I could just feel it right in my, like, my brain is just like, reconnecting with what it feels like a lost hobby. It's amazing what it remembers, what I remember. Even though it's been, like I said, nearly a year since I last did this, so. Alright, so let's see what this guy's looking like right now, because... yeah, so later it's going to be swinging like right here. All right, so I'm gonna shrink these guys down just to get an idea of what he looks like compared to Godzilla, and then I think we're gonna call it good for now. But I am curious to see how this all looks, because he's gonna be like right here in the middle. Now you're kind of starting to see the inspiration here of where I was going. Maybe I'll have him be more like right there, dead center of the screen. Okay, so he's a little bigger than I might end up doing. I might have him be a little bit smaller, but I don't want him to be too small that we still can't pick up on cool little details, you know what I mean? But overall, I'm liking this. This is going pretty much how I intended. So I think the next step after this is going to be animating Thor's arm along with the hammer. I'm going to have like Thor swinging the hammer around too as well. We're going to add another glow effect to the hammer so that when he starts swinging it, it creates lightning. It's going to add a cool blur effect as well as it's swinging. And I still need to like edit more of Thor's cape before we get to the main super motion. So right here I would like be adding some ripple effects just to make the cape kind of slow. So that's where, you know, that will be my clue, future me's clue on when to add the, you know, the rotation to make the Thor's hammer move around more. All right, let's take a look at some comments, and then I gotta get going, guys. So let's see what we're at. Jean says, Kaijutopia, there was 2 lost radio dramas for Godzilla 1954 and Raids Again. The only episodes that are not lost are the first episode of the Raids Again radio drama and the last episode of the 54 one. Interesting. I'm not really I don't have much knowledge on this. I think it might have something, correct me if I'm wrong, but it might have something to do with the teleplay. I know that not too long ago, I think I even talked about like how the original Godzilla 1954 novel and Godzilla Raids Again, they're now like one book. You can find it on Amazon, and it's all like kind of what was the original script or teleplay for the movies, for what would become the movies themselves. Let's see what else we got. Andrew talking, going more into detail about his Godzilla GMK sequel. Every mythology with every single kaiju from the franchise over the years. Every mythology. Woo! Man, I only know a couple. But I'm pretty sure there are like hundreds, so good luck with that one. My version for a sequel GMK Godzilla is going to be more powerful than the one from Godzilla in Hell. Wow, okay, so he's going to be exceptionally powerful. And yeah, so let's see. Sean, all this time talking about Godzilla fantasy battles, I never asked you what's your dream Godzilla fantasy fight. Sean, that's a great question. I guess my dream Godzilla fantasy fight would be Godzilla versus Evangelion. It's for a multitude of reasons. And I guess before I get going, Sean, you're such a genius. Like right before I'm getting ready to end the stream, you throw this curveball at me, and now I have to acquiesce. I have to answer it, because if I don't, it's gonna keep me up all night, and I'm gonna feel bad about it. But yeah, Godzilla vs. Evangelion would be my dream Godzilla fantasy fight. I not only like talking about it and analyzing it, I have this idea of a Godzilla stop motion pitch that would completely derail your question and make me tom along for another hour. So I'm not going to talk about the stop motion project itself. That's for another time. But as far as inspiration goes, Godzilla vs. Evangelion is the very first major online debate I ever got into. It was back in the early 2000s on the Monster Zero forums, and I got into it with this Evangelion fan, and I don't want anyone to go back and try and find this. I'm sure Internet Archives has it somewhere, but okay, so long story short, I did a terrible job. I was not a good debater. I was such a Godzilla fanboy. I had no idea. I didn't even know anything about Evangelion. That's right. My first exposure to Evangelion was being a Godzilla fanboy and telling Evangelion fans essentially that Godzilla could beat up their daddy, right? Their Eva daddy. Godzilla is so much more powerful, and he's gonna win, and he's invincible, and honestly, not my greatest performance, and I bring it up now, even though a part of me is cringing a little bit because it was so terrible. I was so obnoxious and so in over my head, out of depth. It still turned out to have a silver lining to it in a number of ways. For starters, it got me into Evangelion. That's how I got into Evangelion. I was a spiteful Godzilla fan, and I was so pissed off that someone thinks Godzilla would lose to a giant weird looking mech thing that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check this out. And then I saw some footage of it and thought it looked pretty cool looking, to be honest. And then I went to Suncoast Video, which was the shit, the destination for anyone during the 2000s to go find some really cool movie TV stuff that you probably couldn't find at Blockbuster Video or a Best Buy or Radio Shack at the time. So I go to Suncoast Video and I find the VHS collection of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I pick it up and I go for it. I'm like, okay, what started off as me coming in as this, you know how I talked about earlier how Godzilla fans need to like go outside, touch grass, and stop, just losing it, over how, Death Battle had Hulk win. I'm making fun of past me, okay? I've been that guy. I've been that fan. When I was like super obsessed with this sort of stuff, and I've learned the hard way. But Godzilla vs. Evangelion was my first like real, I guess, entrance into all of this, and I went in to this show with being a Godzilla fanboy and all that. But then I watched the show and my mind was just blown, and I know Neon Genesis Evangelion can be very like, you either love it or hate it, right? I mean, I think that's a very apt descriptive of this show. Like, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Or you're going to hate the fact that you love it. But I went in being a Godzilla fanboy, and then I left, like, as soon as I completed the whole show, I binge watched all of it. I was like, sold. I'm like, this is such a great show, and I completely forgot about, fantasy matches, power levels, and got into the mythology of it all, and I just love it. And, since then, obviously, if we're going back to fantasy battles and such, I do feel like it obviously it depends on the Godzilla. Not all Godzillas are equal in power and prominence. So, back then we were arguing Heisei Godzilla fighting Evangelion from the first Neon Genesis show. And of course there are the rebuild movies, and Unit 1 does tend to receive some power-ups throughout the whole run. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds on that one, but I think it's a fun thought experiment. There are a number of entities from the Evangelion series, not just centering this around Godzilla versus Evangelion Unit 1 in particular, although that is the most popular sort of matchup if we were to have both of these franchises crossover. And by the way, there's official Toho produced merch on this. I mean, they've only been since the days of Hideaki Anno directing Shin Godzilla, which is heavily inspired by Evangelion for obvious reasons. We've seen Godzilla vs. Evangelion content, and it looks awesome. So it's not like this is like a pie in the sky thing, like we can only dream about these two fighting. Like, no, who would have thought that, if you went back in time and told early 2000s me and the Evangelion fan that I argued with that someday we're going to actually see like a studio produced short little CG film of Godzilla fighting Evangelion like characters and stuff, we would have been like, well, I'm sure it wouldn't have stopped us from arguing, but maybe that would have been a kumbaya moment, for us both. And I think that's the greatest appeal of these crossovers, is that it does allow fans to like, I mean, yeah, you're going to get your super, you're going to get your fanboys who believe, in this case, Godzilla, they suffer from Gojira's strongest there is syndrome, right? And then you're going to have like Evangelion fanboys who think Eva's the most powerful ever, blah, blah, blah. But the rest of us, normal fans or sane fans, we're just like excited. Okay, let's see what this is about. And it's a nice way for fans who are maybe, they just don't know enough about, say, Evangelion like I used to be, and it gives you a chance to really, delve into a new series and get into it. And, Evangelion fans maybe wouldn't know much about Godzilla, and this is a great gateway for them. So, yeah, I think my dream Godzilla fantasy fight would be Godzilla versus Evangelion, and it could very well become a reality, just like, we talk about Godzilla versus Marvel and Godzilla versus DC, anything, back in the day, these sort of fantasy fights were just that, fantasy. But now we're seeing actual crossover material, and it's awesome. So instead of wasting so much time getting so bent out of shape over this sort of stuff, let's just, hey, you can either like just celebrate it, or maybe it's not for you and that's okay, and go watch your favorite Godzilla movie. Man, Sean, I should dedicate an entire video to Godzilla vs. Evangelion now. That would be cool. Anyway, great question, man. Linus Prime, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Would you make Godzilla vs. Black Myth Wukong? Oh, Sun Wukong? Oh, man. I never thought of that. I'm familiar with the Monkey King. I mean, who isn't? Any Dragon Ball fan is familiar with Sun Wukong. And yeah, I've actually never thought about having Godzilla cross over with him, but that would be pretty cool. Andrew says his dream. I'm assuming, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you two are responding to Sean's question about your dream Godzilla fantasy fight. And yours is Godzilla versus Gamera versus Ultraman versus Kong. I love that. That's pretty cool. I do have this stop motion concept idea of having all four of those guys team up against a list of super evil monster characters. And the twist, okay, so I've been talking about this for years, and I might as well get into it now because why not? But like, this would be the first of its kind, guys. This would be a choose your own adventure. Do you guys know what those are? The kind of books where you get to the end of like a chapter and it gives you the choice, like, do you want the character to live or survive or do this thing? If you want them to like go into the haunted house, turn to page 27. If you want them to just run to the car and get out of Dodge, turn to page 72 or something. But it would be like that, but I would make an entire stop motion series based around you, the viewer, choosing, what happens next. And I don't know, maybe that'll be my stop motion end game someday. If I could do this full time, that's something that, well, first off, even doing that full time would take me probably a year or two to really to complete, but it would be so awesome. But yeah, I have this pitch where Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, and Kong team up. I think at the time I was thinking of having them team up against Monster X, Hedorah, Gigan, and I'm trying to remember the fourth. Monster X, Hedorah, Gigan. Kind of having a brain meltdown, malfunction here, and I can't remember the fourth. But my choices were based on, I chose Monster X because then there's a potential ending of him turning into Kaiser Ghidorah. Or, Hedorah, given his many transformations, he could turn into his flying form and such. But, I do like that. As far as dream fantasy fights go, that's a great idea too, Andrew. I love it. Lioness Prime asks, do you have a Kratos action figure? No, unfortunately, I do not. Every time I start looking one up, like they're either sold out or like the kind of quality figure I'm looking for is a little bit above my budget, or they just don't look good. Like the quality of them are not the best. So, I'm still on the hunt for a good Kratos figure because I have ideas. Kratos is awesome. I love the God of War video games. They're awesome. It's a great series, and I'm excited to see what they do for, I think, the Amazon Prime adapted series that's in production. So, yeah, great character. I just want a Kaiju Battle Royal, honestly. Yeah, Andrew. Great minds think alike. And yeah, you can't go wrong with more with a kaiju battle royal, that's for sure. Let's see if there's anything else I can do before we close out here. Alright, so we see Thor here, and I'm just gonna move him down a bit so everyone can see him next to Godzilla here. Let's bring back some cool eye effect here. This did turn out pretty good, and I think in the future I'm also going to add more destruction in the background. Like when Godzilla rises, he's either rising with embers, like just filling the air, or maybe parts of rubble fall off of him. Yeah, there's a lot of... The shot is far from over. This is like the main... I think I have like maybe several more different angles that I'm going for that I'll be working on that won't take nearly as long. This is like, I think, the single hardest shot in the entire movie here, so... Lioness Prime says, Biollante versus Swamp Thing in your DC crossover stop motions. Ooh, man, Biollante and Swamp Thing would be pretty neat. That's gnarly. That's a good idea. I currently still have technically an ongoing Godzilla versus Batman stop motion series. It's on the channel. Check it out if you haven't yet. I'm personally proud of it. And I still have more ideas, more things I want to do with that when I revisit that series in the future. And yeah, one thing I'm thinking about is incorporating Poison Ivy and Biollante. But yeah, that's still... That's for another day, right? Yeah, so... Hey guys, it's been great. I don't know if anyone... See, it still shows in my YouTube, like, little command center here that, you know, the video has been poor, the analytics are not going well, viewers have been experiencing some buffering, so I'm sorry in advance if that's the case for you guys, especially you guys in the chat. I hope that I'm going to try and work in the next couple days on making sure that doesn't happen again. See what I can do and research to improve, because up till now, my streams have had relatively good health. So I'm sorry if following along live has been a bit of a burden. I hope the video and audio have come through okay. I know some of you mentioned an hour ago that I was cutting out, so anyway, oh yeah, Lioness Prime, try searching a Kratos figure on Big Bad Toy Store. Yeah, definitely. I use Big Bad Toy Store. They're awesome, and yeah, I'll take you on your advice. Thank you. So yeah, everybody, thank you so much for being here, for being with me, keeping me company for the last 2 hours. Wow, 2 hours really flew by, didn't it? I hope you guys had a good time. If you really like this, I'm feeling maybe we should do another stream, because this is a fun little project. It's been in the works for quite some time. It's good to be back doing stop motion, even though real soon I'm going to return to my regularly scheduled Kaijutopia program, with